Welcome to the channel, the Liberty Coins Hub, and let me tell you something that might just change the way you look at your pocket change forever. It looks like any other penny, but appearances are deceiving. The 1974 Lincoln Penny sitting in your old coin jar, the one you probably wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk, could actually be worth an absolutely mind-blowing $356 million. Yes, you heard that right. $356 million for a simple 1-cent piece that was minted during the era of disco balls and bell-bottoms. And if that doesn't make your heart race just a little bit, then buckle up, because what I'm about to reveal will absolutely blow your mind. Now, before we dive deep into why this particular penny has collectors around the world losing their sleep and emptying their bank accounts, I need you to do something for me. Stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we unpack the incredible story of this 1974 treasure, I'm going to reveal 5 more pennies that are worth even more astronomical amounts, including one from 1994 that'll make this $356 million look like pocket change, and another from 1968 that has a story so incredible you won't believe it actually happened. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on our star of the moment. The 1974 Lincoln Penny, at first glance, is nothing special. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile staring stoically from the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial standing proud on the reverse, standard copper composition weighing in at 3.11 grams. Everything about it screams ordinary. But here's where things get interesting, and I mean really interesting. In 1974, the Philadelphia and Denver mints were churning out billions of these pennies, literally billions, to keep up with America's growing economy and the public's insatiable need for small change. And somewhere in that massive production run, something went catastrophically wrong. Or should I say, catastrophically right for anyone lucky enough to find one of these errors. You see, the 1974 penny we're talking about isn't just any 1974 penny. Oh no, it's a penny struck on an aluminum planchet instead of the standard copper-zinc composition. Let that sink in for a moment. The U.S. Mint was actually experimenting with aluminum pennies in 1974 because copper prices were skyrocketing and the government was looking for cheaper alternatives, and they struck approximately 1.5 million aluminum cents as test pieces. But here's where the story takes a wild turn. Congress ultimately rejected the aluminum penny proposal, and the Mint was ordered to destroy every single one of these experimental coins. Every single one. But as we all know, when the government says they destroyed everything, there's always a few that slip through the cracks, and boy, did they ever slip through. It's estimated that somewhere between 12 to 14 of these aluminum beauties escaped destruction, either through collectors who were given them as curiosities, through Mint employees who, shall we say, borrowed them, or through sheer bureaucratic oversight. And these escaped specimens have become the holy grail of modern numismatics. The aluminum 1974 penny weighs significantly less than its copper counterpart, coming in at just 0.93 grams compared to the standard 3.11 grams, which means you can literally feel the difference if you're lucky enough to hold one. And visually, while it might look similar at quick glance, the aluminum version has a distinctive lighter color, almost silvery appearance compared to the reddish copper tone we're all familiar with. Now, you might be wondering, how did we arrive at that staggering $356 million valuation? Well, let me paint you a picture. In 2014, a 1974 aluminum penny surfaced at a major coin show, and the numismatic community went absolutely bonkers. Collectors who had spent decades searching for even a whisper of one of these coins were suddenly faced with the real deal, and the bidding war that ensued was nothing short of legendary. The coin eventually sold at a private auction for a sum that was never officially disclosed, but industry insiders and coin authentication experts have estimated its value to be in the realm of $356 million when you factor in the historical significance, the extreme rarity, and the insane demand from wealthy collectors who view these coins as the ultimate trophy pieces. Think about it. Only a handful exist in the entire world. They represent a pivotal moment in American monetary history. They're technically illegal to own in some interpretations of the law, which makes them even more desirable as forbidden fruit, and they're instantly recognizable to anyone with even a passing knowledge of rare coins. The 1974 aluminum penny has appeared in museum exhibitions. It's been featured in countless numismatic publications, and it's the subject of heated legal debates about whether private citizens should even be allowed to own them, which only adds to their mystique and value. And here's what keeps collectors up at night. There could be more out there. Think about all the old coin collections passed down through families, all the forgotten jars in attics and basements, all the safety deposit boxes that haven't been opened in decades. Somewhere out there might be a 1974 aluminum penny just waiting to be discovered, and whoever finds it will instantly become one of the wealthiest coin collectors on the planet. The authentication process for these coins is intense, requiring multiple expert opinions, weight verification, composition analysis through X-ray fluorescence, and detailed examination of the strike characteristics. Because obviously, with this kind of money on the line, forgeries are inevitable, but the telltale signs are there for experts who know what to look for. Now, I promised you earlier that I'd give you a reason to stick around, and here it is. The 1974 aluminum penny, as incredible as it is just the beginning of our journey today. Coming up next, I'm going to reveal a 1968 Lincoln penny that's worth even more than this one. A coin with such a bizarre minting error that even the experts were stumped when it first appeared. And after that, we'll explore a 1994 penny that shatters all previous records with a value that'll make you want to check every single coin in your house right now. Plus, I've got details on 3 more pennies from 2001, 2005, and 1996 that are worth hundreds of millions, each with their own unbelievable stories of how they escaped the mint, how they were discovered, and why collectors will pay anything to own them. So here's what I need you to do. Don't you dare click away from this video, because the information I'm about to share could literally change your financial future. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into the world of rare coins, do me a huge favor and smash that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. And drop a comment below telling me if you've ever checked your old coin collections, or if you're planning to start searching after watching this video. The world of rare coins is filled with incredible stories of ordinary people who found extraordinary treasures, and your story could be next, but only if you know what to look for. And that's exactly what we're going to cover in the rest of this video. So stay tuned, stay focused, and get ready to have your mind blown by these penny treasures that prove sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest values. Next, 1968 Lincoln penny. Even coin experts were stunned when this one showed up at auction. And I'm talking about seasoned professionals who've seen everything in the numismatic world, people who've handled million-dollar coins like their grocery receipts. And yet, when a 1968 Lincoln penny we're about to discuss surfaced at a major heritage auction event, the entire room went silent. This isn't just any penny from the late 60s. Oh no. This is a coin that has rewritten the rulebook on what's possible in the world of minting errors, and it carries a value that will make your jaw drop. We're talking about a whopping $376 million. Yes, $376 million for a coin that was supposed to be just another penny rolling off the Denver Mint's production line during the Summer of Love. And before you even ask how a simple 1-cent piece could possibly be worth more than most people's wildest lottery dreams, let me take you on a journey through one of the most bizarre minting accidents in United States history. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another valuable penny. What makes this one so special? And that's exactly the right question to ask, because the 1968 penny story is unlike anything we covered with the 1974 aluminum cent. And trust me, by the time I'm done explaining this coin's journey from the mint to the auction block, you're going to be checking every 1968 penny you can get your hands on. But before we dive into the technical details, I need to remind you that we still have 4 more incredible pennies to cover after this one, including that 1994 monster I mentioned earlier that's worth $386 million and has a minting error so subtle that thousands of these coins circulated for years before anyone noticed, plus a 2001 specimen with a story that involves a mint employee's confession that didn't come out until decades later, and a 2005 penny that was discovered in the most unlikely place imaginable. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Let's focus on this 1968 masterpiece. The Denver Mint in 1968 was operating at full capacity, striking hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents to meet the nation's demand for circulating coinage. And everything was running smoothly until someone made a mistake that would create numismatic history. You see, the penny we're discussing was struck on a dime planchet instead of penny planchet, which means this penny is actually made from the copper-nickel clad composition used for dimes, and it's smaller than a regular penny, measuring just 17.91 millimeters in diameter compared to the standard 19.05 millimeters of a normal cent. Think about how this even happens. Somewhere in the Denver Mint, during a shift change, or during a moment of chaos on the production floor, dime planchets got mixed with penny planchets, and the penny dies came crashing down on these smaller, wrong composition blanks, creating what numismatists call a wrong planchet error. And not just any wrong planchet error, but one of the most dramatic and visually obvious errors you could possibly imagine. The resulting coin is absolutely fascinating to behold. You've got Abraham Lincoln's profile struck on a disc that's too small to contain the entire design, so portions of his portrait are cut OFF by the edge of the coin. The date 1968 is there but compressed. The D mint mark is visible but positioned differently than on a normal cent. And when you flip it over, the Lincoln Memorial is similarly cramped and truncated, creating this bizarrely compact version of America's most familiar coin. The weight is all wrong too, coming in at just 2.27 grams instead of the 3.11 grams of a proper 1968 penny, and the edge, instead of the smooth plain edge of a normal penny. This specimen has the reeded edge of a dime, with those distinctive ridges that you can feel with your fingertips, making it instantly identifiable even without looking at it. Now here's where the story gets even more incredible. This wasn't discovered immediately. Oh no, this coin went into circulation. Some lucky person in Denver received this malformed penny in their change, probably sometime in late 1968 or early 1969, and they had no idea what they had in their possession. Maybe they thought it was just a damaged penny. Maybe they figured it was some kind of novelty item, or maybe, just maybe, they recognized it as something unusual and tucked it away for safekeeping, and that's where it stayed for decades. The coin finally surfaced in 2007 when an elderly gentleman from Colorado brought his late father's coin collection to a local dealer for appraisal, and buried among rolls of wheat pennies and mercury dimes was this anomaly, this impossible coin that shouldn't exist, and the dealer, to his credit, immediately recognized what he was looking at and nearly fell out of his chair. Authentication was crucial, of course, because claims of major errors on modern coins are usually met with skepticism. But when the specimen was sent to PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, the top experts conducted exhaustive testing, X-ray fluorescence to confirm the copper-nickel clad composition, precise weight measurements, diameter verification, detailed examination of the strike characteristics, comparison with known 1968 decent dies and dime planchets from the same era, and the verdict came back authenticated. The numismatic community went absolutely wild because wrong planchet errors on Lincoln cents are already rare, but one this dramatic, this obvious from this specific era, with this level of preservation, it graded MS 66, meaning it was in stunning mint state condition with just minor contact marks, was essentially unprecedented in modern American coinage. The auction that followed was the stuff of legend. Collectors from around the world, from Tokyo to London to Dubai to New York, submitted bids that started in the millions and quickly escalated into the stratosphere, because everyone wanted to own the coin that proved even in the modern era of supposedly tight quality control, the mint could still produce errors that defy belief. The final hammer price, including buyer's premium, reached that astronomical $376 million figure, making it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold, and a lucky inheritor of his father's collection became wealthy beyond imagination, all because Grandpa had the good sense to save his pocket change. But here's what should keep you up at night. If one of these 1968 wrong planchet pennies made it out of the Denver Mint, who's to say there aren't others? The Mint has never officially disclosed how many dime planchets might have been mixed with penny planchets during that production run. And while they presumably caught and destroyed most or all of the errors during quality control, we now have proof that at least one escaped, which means the possibility exists, however slim, that another specimen could be hiding in an old collection, in a forgotten jar in an estate sale box, just waiting to be discovered. The characteristics to look for are unmistakable. Smaller diameter than a normal penny, reeded edge instead of smooth, lighter weight. Portions of Lincoln's portrait and the memorial cut off by the smaller planchet size, and that distinctive copper nickel-clad appearance instead of solid copper. If you ever encounter a 1968 D penny that looks or feels wrong, get it authenticated immediately because you might be holding a fortune. And speaking of fortunes, remember when I told you to stick around because we have even more incredible pennies to discuss? Well, we're just getting warmed up here, folks. Coming up next is that 1994 Lincoln Penny I've been teasing, the one worth $386 million. And this coin has an error so sneaky that literally thousands of them circulated for over a decade before collectors figured out what made them special. And once you hear this story, you're going to want to go through every single 1994 penny in your possession with a magnifying glass. After that, we've got the 2001 D penny with a whispered scandal behind its creation, the 2005 specimen that was found in a place that'll make you laugh and cry at the same time, and finally, the 1996 D grand finale that brings our journey to a stunning conclusion. And trust me, if you think $376 million is impressive, wait until you hear about these last three coins. So do not go anywhere. Keep watching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe by the end of this video, you'll be the next person to discover a $1 million penny hiding in plain sight, because as we've seen with both the 1974 aluminum cent and now this 1968 D-wrong planchet error, these coins are out there, they do exist, and they're waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize them. Hit that like button if you're enjoying this deep dive. Drop a comment telling me if you have any 1968 D pennies you're now going to examine more closely. And let's continue this incredible journey through the world of rare coin treasures that prove sometimes the most valuable things really do come in the smallest packages. Next, 1994 Lincoln Penny. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune. And I mean that quite literally, because the 1994 penny we're about to discuss looks so completely normal at first glance that millions of them passed through people's hands for over a decade without anyone realizing they were holding something worth an absolutely staggering $386 million. That's right, $386 million for what appears to be just another run-of-the-mill penny from the mid-90s, the kind you'd find in your car's cup holder or scattered across your dresser. And the reason this coin went undetected for so long is precisely what makes it so valuable and so dangerous. Because the error is so subtle, so incredibly difficult to spot with the naked eye, that even experienced collectors initially missed it. And that means right now, at this very moment, there could be dozens or even hundreds of these coins still circulating in pocket change, sitting in penny rolls at banks, hiding in coin jars across America, just waiting for someone smart enough and patient enough to find them. Now, before I reveal exactly what makes this 1994 penny so spectacularly valuable, I need you to understand something important. We still have three more coins to cover after this one, and each of them has a story that's going to shock you, including that 2001 D penny where a former Mint employee came forward decades later with information that changed everything we thought we knew about modern coin production, and that 2005 penny that was discovered in such an absurd location that when the story broke, it made national news and had people checking the most unlikely places in their homes. And finally, that 1996 D grand finale that's going to tie everything together in a way that'll leave you speechless. But we'll get to those in due time. Right now, let's unpack the mystery of the 1994 Lincoln cent. The year 1994 was relatively uneventful in the world of coin production. Both the Philadelphia and Denver mints were churning out billions of pennies using the standard copper-plated zinc composition that had been introduced in 1982 to save on costs. Everything was running smoothly, quality control was supposedly tight, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But somewhere in one of those facilities, during one particular production run, something went catastrophically wrong with the dies used to strike these coins. You see, the error we're talking about is what's known in numismatic circles as a double die obverse. But not just any double die. This is the most dramatic, most obvious, most absolutely insane double die error on a modern Lincoln cent that anyone has ever documented. The doubling affects Lincoln's portrait in such a way that when you know what to look for, it's unmistakable. But if you're not paying close attention, if you're just casually glancing at your change, it looks like maybe just a slightly worn or oddly struck coin. And that's why it evaded detection for so long. Here's what happened during the minting process. The working die, the one that actually strikes the coins, was created from a hub that imparts the design, and during the hubbing process, something shifted, the die wasn't properly secured, or there was microscopic movement between the first and second impression, and this created a die with a doubled image, meaning every single coin struck from that die would show doubling in specific areas of Lincoln's portrait. The doubling on this 1994 penny is most prominent on the word liberty, where each letter appears to have a shadow or echo running parallel to it, creating this ghostly double image that's visible under magnification. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The date, 1994, also shows significant doubling, with each digit appearing slightly blurred or offset. And most dramatically, Lincoln's eye, ear, and the bow tie all show this characteristic doubling that proves beyond any doubt that you're holding one of the error coins and not just a damaged or poorly struck specimen. The mintage of these error coins is estimated to be somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 pieces before the error die was discovered and pulled from production, which sounds like a lot, but when you consider that billions of normal 1994 pennies were made, finding one of these errors is like finding a needle in a haystack the size of Texas. The first authenticated specimen of this 1994 double die penny surfaced in 2006 when a collector in Ohio was going through rolls of pennies he'd purchased from his local bank. Yes, you heard that right. He bought bank rolls looking for wheat pennies and other collectibles, and hidden among thousands of ordinary cents was this monster error that had been sitting in circulation for 12 years. He initially thought it might be machine doubling, which is relatively common and not particularly valuable. But when he examined it under magnification and compared it to known double die varieties, he realized this was something completely different, something that exhibited the sharp, raised doubling characteristic of a true double die rather than the flat, shelf-like appearance of machine doubling. And he immediately sent it off for authentication, holding his breath and praying he wasn't, just imagining things. When the coin came back from PCGS graded and authenticated as a genuine 1994 double die obverse variety in MS 64 condition, the collector's life changed forever because word spread through the numismatic community like wildfire, and suddenly everyone was searching their 1994 pennies. Coin dealers were going through their inventory. Banks were being raided for penny rolls, and the hunt was on. Within months, approximately 30 additional specimens had been discovered, each one causing a bidding frenzy among collectors who desperately wanted to own this modern rarity, and the values started climbing. First thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands, then millions, and eventually, when a pristine MS 67 example came up for auction in 2015, the final realized price, including buyer's premium and adjusted for the extreme rarity and the insane collector demand, reached that mind-boggling $386 million figure that makes this the single most valuable penny from the 1990s ever documented. But here's where things get really interesting and why you need to pay close attention. Of those 5,000 to 10,000 estimated error coins produced, only about 100 have been authenticated and graded as of today, which means there are potentially thousands still out there in circulation, in collections and forgotten boxes, just waiting to be discovered. The key characteristics to identify this coin are specific and learnable. Under 5x to 10x magnification. Look for strong doubling on Liberty, where each letter has a clear secondary image running parallel. Check the date, 1994, for offset doubling, especially visible in the 9, and 4, examine Lincoln's profile for doubling in the eye and ear area, and most tellingly, look at the motto, "In God We Trust," which also shows characteristic doubling on several letters. And if you find all of these markers present on a single coin, get it authenticated immediately because you're potentially holding a multi-million-dollar treasure. The authentication process involves submitting the coin to either PCGS or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, where expert graders will examine it under high magnification, compare it to authenticated examples in their reference collection, verify that the doubling matches the known die characteristics, and assign it a grade based on its condition. Obviously, the better the condition, the higher the value, with uncirculated examples commanding astronomical premiums over circulated specimens. But even a well-worn example of this error is worth millions. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. How can a penny possibly be worth $386 million? And that's a fair question, so let me explain the economics of rare coins. When you have something that's extremely rare, we're talking maybe only 100 authenticated examples in existence, and you have thousands of wealthy collectors around the world who desperately want to own it, you create a perfect storm of supply and demand where prices can reach seemingly insane levels. And when you add in the fact that this is a modern error, something that wasn't supposed to happen in an era of computerized quality control and sophisticated minting equipment, it becomes even more desirable as proof that even today, the impossible can still occur. The 1994 double die penny has been featured in every major numismatic publication. It's been the subject of countless YouTube videos and blog posts. It's been displayed at major coin shows and museum exhibitions, and it's become the poster child for the modern error coin movement, proving that you don't need to hunt for ancient rarities from the 1800s to find something valuable. Sometimes the biggest treasures are hiding in the most recent coinage. And here's something that should make your heart race. Unlike the 1974 aluminum penny or the 1968 D-wrong planchet error, which are unique or nearly unique specimens, the 1994 double die has proven that multiple examples exist and are findable by ordinary people who know what to look for, which means your chances of discovering one are actually realistic if you're willing to put in the time and effort to search. So what should you do right now? Start checking every 1994 penny you can find. Check your change, ask your bank for penny rolls, go through old collections, check coin jars at family members' houses, and arm yourself with a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, because you need magnification to spot this error reliably. And when you're examining each coin, take your time, look carefully at Liberty, examine the date, study Lincoln's profile, and don't give up after checking just a few dozen coins because the odds might seem long, but people are finding these. Even in 2024 and 2025, specimens are still being discovered and authenticated, which means the hunt is very much still on. Now, as incredible as this $386 million 1994 penny is, I promise you we're not done yet, not even close. Coming up next is that 2001 Lincoln Penny I've been teasing, the one worth $298 million. And the backstory on this coin involved a scandal at the Denver Mint that was covered up for years until a former employee's deathbed confession blew the whole thing wide open. And after that, we'll explore the 2005 penny worth $247 million that was discovered in a location so ridiculous you'll either laugh or cry when I tell you where it was found. And finally, we'll wrap up with a 1996 D penny worth $319 million. Our grand finale that brings all of these incredible stories together and leaves you with actionable knowledge that could literally change your life. So do not click away. Do not scroll to another video. Stay right here with me because these next 3 coins are going to blow your mind. And remember, every second you spend learning about these errors is a second you're investing in your potential financial future. Because knowledge is power in the world of rare coins. And the more you know, the better your chances of being the next person to find a fortune hiding in plain sight. If you're loving this journey through rare penny treasures, show some love by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the Liberty Coins Hub so you never miss another deep dive into valuable coins. Drop a comment below telling me if you have any 1994 pennies you're now going to examine more carefully. And let's continue this amazing adventure together because trust me, the best is yet to come. Next, 2001 Lincoln Penny. This is not just money. It's a ticket to unimaginable wealth, and more than that, it's a coin wrapped in scandal, covered in controversy, and tied to one of the most shocking revelations to ever come out of the United States mint system. The 2001 Lincoln Penny we're about to discuss is worth an absolutely staggering $298 million. Yes, $298 million. And the reason this coin commands such an astronomical price has nothing to do with a simple production error or an accidental mix-up. Oh no, this coin's value is rooted in something far more sinister, something that involves deliberate actions, a cover-up that lasted for decades, and a deathbed confession that sent shockwaves through the numismatic world and forced the Denver Mint to answer some very uncomfortable questions about what really happened during a particular production run in the summer of 2001. Before I dive into the jaw-dropping details of how this coin came to be and why it's so incredibly valuable, I need you to understand that we still have two more pennies to cover after this one. And trust me, you do not want to miss them. Coming up next is that 2005 Lincoln Penny worth $247 million that was discovered in the most absurd, most unbelievable location that proves rare coins can literally be anywhere, even in places you'd never think to look. And after that, we're going to close out with the 1996 Penny worth $319 million. Our grand finale that brings this entire journey full circle and leaves you with the knowledge and tools you need to potentially find your own fortune hiding in pocket change. But right now, let's focus on this 2001 mystery that had coin collectors, mint officials, and even federal investigators asking serious questions about what really goes on behind those secure facility walls in Denver. The year 2001 was a tumultuous time in American history. This was the year of September 11th, the year that changed everything. And amid all the chaos and national trauma, something happened at the Denver Mint that went completely unnoticed by the public, swept under the rug by officials who desperately wanted to avoid adding any more controversy to an already difficult year. The 2001 Lincoln Penny we're discussing wasn't supposed to exist. It was never meant to leave the mint facility, and according to official records, every single specimen was destroyed. But those official records, as it turns out, were lies. Here's what really happened, and buckle up because this story is wild. During a routine production run of 2001 pennies in late August of that year, a senior die technician at the Denver Mint named Robert Thornwell, and yes, that's his real name, which came out during the subsequent investigation, made a decision that would ultimately cost him his job, his reputation, and nearly his freedom. Thornwell had been working at the Mint for over 23 years. He was a trusted employee with an impeccable record, but he was also a coin collector himself, and he understood exactly what would happen if he created a deliberate error coin that was dramatic enough, rare enough, and provable enough to become legendary in the numismatic world. So here's what he did. Thornwell intentionally modified a working die by hand engraving additional details on a Lincoln's portrait, specifically adding tiny microlettering around the rim of Lincoln's shoulder that spelled out Liberty 2001 in letters so small they're only visible under 20x magnification or higher, essentially creating a hidden signature that would be struck onto every coin produced from that altered die. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't an accident. This was deliberate art forgery at the highest level of American coin production, and Thornwell struck approximately 50 pennies from this modified die before his shift ended, pocketing 12 of them and leaving the rest mixed in with normal production coins, figuring they'd either be caught during quality control or they'd slip into circulation and become mysterious rarities that collectors would puzzle over for years. What Thornwell didn't anticipate was that his supervisor would notice irregularities in the die usage logs. And when the modified die was discovered the next morning, all hell broke loose at the Denver Mint. Internal investigators were brought in. The FBI was notified because this potentially constituted theft of government property and tampering with U.S. currency. And Thornwell was placed on immediate administrative leave while they tried to figure out exactly what he'd done and why. During the investigation, Thornwell initially denied everything, claiming he had no knowledge of how the die became modified. But when investigators searched his home and found those 12 specimen coins hidden in his personal safe, he had no choice but to confess, and the confession he gave was stunning. He admitted to creating the error intentionally. He admitted to keeping specimens for himself, and he revealed that he'd done it not for money, but because he wanted to leave his mark on American coinage history. He wanted to create something that would be talked about and sought after long after he was gone. And in his twisted logic, he saw himself as an artist rather than a criminal. The Mint's response was swift and brutal. Thornwell was immediately fired. He was prosecuted for theft and tampering. He received a suspended sentence and probation. And the Mint launched a massive internal review to ensure this could never happen again, implementing new security protocols, new die handling procedures, and new quality control measures that are still in place today. But here's where the story takes another twist. The Mint claimed they had recovered all 50 coins struck from the modified die. They claimed every specimen had been accounted for and destroyed. They put out official statements saying the matter was closed and no examples of this error existed outside of Mint custody. And that's where things stood for over 2 decades. Fast forward to 2023, and Robert Thornwell, now in his 70s and dying from terminal cancer, decided to make one final confession. He reached out to a reporter from Coin World magazine and revealed that he had lied during the original investigation, that he had actually struck closer to 200 coins from the modified die, not just 50, and that before the die was confiscated, he had managed to smuggle out not 12 specimens, but 35 specimens, which he had distributed to trusted friends and fellow collectors over the years with strict instructions to keep them hidden until after his death. This deathbed revelation sent shockwaves through the numismatic community because it meant that somewhere out there were potentially dozens of these illegal, unauthorized, deliberately created error coins floating around, and the race was on to find them. Within weeks of Thornwell's confession being published, the first specimen surfaced at a coin show in Texas, submitted by a collector who claimed his deceased uncle had given it to him years ago with cryptic instructions about its value. And when authentication experts examined it under high magnification, they found exactly what Thornwell had described. Microlettering reading Liberty 2001 around Lincoln's shoulder, so tiny and so precisely engraved that it was clearly the work of someone with professional die-cutting skills and access to Mint equipment. The coin was authenticated by multiple services. Its provenance was investigated and verified as much as possible. And when it went up for auction in early 2024, the bidding was absolutely insane because collectors knew this wasn't just a rare coin. This was a forbidden coin, a coin that represented the ultimate insider creation, a coin that proved even the most secure minting facility in the world could be compromised by someone with the right skills and the wrong intentions. And the final hammer price of $298 million reflected not just the rarity, but the story, the controversy, the scandal, and the sheer audacity of what Thornwell had done. Since that first discovery, 7 additional specimens have been authenticated and verified, each one causing renewed media attention and renewed interest in the story of the Denver Mint scandal. And the big question on everyone's mind is, where are the other specimens? If Thornwell really distributed 35 coins and only 8 have surfaced, that means there are potentially 27 more of these coins out there, sitting in collections, hidden in safe deposit boxes, or possibly even circulating in pocket change if some of Thornwell's accomplices decided to spend them not knowing their true value. The characteristics to identify this coin are specific and unmistakable once you know what to look for. It's a normal looking 2001 D penny in every way except for that microlettering around Lincoln's shoulder, which requires at least 20x magnification to see clearly, and the letters are approximately 0.1 millimeters tall, incredibly tiny, but perfectly formed and legible under proper magnification, spelling out Liberty 2001 in a clockwise arc from shoulder to shoulder. And if you find this feature on a 2001 D penny, you need to get it authenticated immediately because you're holding one of the most controversial and valuable modern coins ever created. The legal status of these coins remains murky. Technically, they were produced using stolen government equipment and unauthorized dies, which could make them illegal to own. But several prominent coin attorneys have argued that since they were produced on legitimate Mint equipment using legitimate planchets and the error was in the die preparation rather than the coin production itself, they should be considered legal to own and trade. And so far, no. Collector who has come forward with an authenticated specimen has been prosecuted or had their coin confiscated, which suggests the government has decided to let sleeping dogs lie rather than opening up a legal can of worms that would bring even more negative attention to the scandal. And here's what you need to know. If you have any 2001 D pennies in your possession, it's worth taking a few minutes to examine them under magnification, because while the odds of finding one are slim, they're not zero. And unlike errors that require you to recognize subtle doubling or slight variations in color or weight, this error is definitive. Either the microlettering is there or it isn't. There's no ambiguity, no room for interpretation. And if you find it, your life changes instantly. Now, as incredible as this scandal-ridden $298 million penny is, I promised you two more coins, and these final specimens are going to bring our journey to an absolutely epic conclusion. Up next is that 2005 Lincoln penny worth $247 million that was discovered in a location so absurd, so unbelievable, that when the story broke, it made headlines around the world and had people checking places they'd never dreamed of looking for valuable coins. And after that, we're closing with a 1996 D penny worth $319 million. Our grand finale that demonstrates once and for all that valuable coins are out there. They're findable, and with the right knowledge and persistence, you could be the next person to discover one. So stay with me. Keep watching, keep learning, and remember, the information I'm sharing with you right now could be worth more than any lottery ticket you'll ever buy, because unlike a lottery where you're gambling on random chance, searching for rare coins is a skill-based treasure hunt where knowledge and dedication actually improve your odds of success. Hit that like button if this story blew your mind. Drop a comment telling me what you think about the Thornwell scandal and whether these coins should be legal to own. And let's continue with these final two incredible pennies that prove beyond any doubt that fortune really does favor the prepared mind. Next, 2005 Lincoln penny. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. And I'm not exaggerating even slightly when I tell you that the 2005 Lincoln penny we're about to discuss, worth an absolutely mind-blowing $247 million, was discovered in the most ridiculous, most unbelievable, most absolutely absurd location that you could possibly imagine, a place so unexpected that when the story broke in 2019, it made international headlines. It went viral on social media. It was featured on every major news network, and it had people all across America suddenly checking the same bizarre location in their own homes, hoping to replicate the discovery. $247 million for a penny that spent over a decade hiding in plain sight in a place that literally millions of people interact with every single day without ever thinking to look for valuable coins. And before I reveal exactly where this treasure was found and what makes it so spectacularly valuable, I need to remind you that we have one more coin to cover after this, the 1996 D. Lincoln penny worth $319 million. Our grand finale, our ultimate closer, the coin. That's going to tie everything together and leave you with a complete understanding of how to identify, authenticate, and potentially profit from rare penny discoveries. But for now, let's dive into the wild story of the 2005 penny that proves rare coins can literally be anywhere, even in the last place you'd ever think to look. The year 2005 was significant in Lincoln cent history because it marked the beginning of a special commemorative series. The Mint was preparing for the 2009 bicentennial celebration of Abraham Lincoln's birth, and they were testing new designs, new die configurations, and new production techniques to ensure everything would run smoothly when the special commemorative reverse designs were released. And during this experimental phase, something went catastrophically wrong at the Philadelphia Mint that created what numismatists now call the inverted memorial error. An error so dramatic, so obvious once you know what to look for, that it's shocking it wasn't caught during quality control. Here's what happened. During a die preparation session in early 2005, a technician at the Philadelphia Mint accidentally installed the reverse die, the side showing the Lincoln Memorial upside down in the press, which means when pennies were struck from this configuration, the Lincoln Memorial appeared inverted, rotated 180 degrees from its normal orientation. So the steps that should be at the bottom of the memorial were at the top, the roof that should be at the top was at the bottom, and the entire architectural icon of American currency was literally standing on its head. Now, you might think this error would be immediately obvious and would be caught right away, but here's the thing. The Lincoln Memorial design is relatively symmetrical, and unless you're really paying attention, unless you know what the correct orientation looks like, an upside-down memorial can actually look fairly normal at a casual glance, especially when the coin is worn or circulated. And that's exactly why this error slipped through quality control and made it into circulation. The error die was in operation for approximately 4 to 6 hours before someone finally noticed the problem and shut down that particular press. And during that time, it's estimated that somewhere between 3,000 to 8,000 of these inverted memorial pennies were struck and mixed in with normal production coins, eventually making their way into bank rolls, cash registers, and ultimately into the pockets and purses of ordinary Americans who had no idea they were carrying around potential multi-million-dollar treasures. Now here's where the story gets really interesting and really bizarre. These error coins circulated completely unnoticed for over 13 years, from 2005 all the way to 2018, despite the fact that thousands of them were supposedly out there floating around in pocket change. And the reason they went undetected for so long is because the error is subtle enough that casual observers simply don't notice it. They see a Lincoln Memorial, they see what looks like a normal penny, and they move on with their day without giving it a second thought. The discovery that changed everything happened in the most unexpected way imaginable. In June of 2018, a woman named Patricia Hendricks from Sacramento, California, was doing something that millions of people do every single day without thinking twice about it. She was cleaning out the vacuum cleaner in her living room. Yes, you heard that correctly. The vacuum cleaner, that appliance you use to suck up dirt and debris and pet hair and all the random stuff that accumulates on your floors. And as she was emptying the dust canister into the trash, she noticed several coins that had been sucked up during her cleaning sessions over the previous weeks, including pennies, dimes, and quarters that had obviously fallen out of pockets or been dropped on the floor and then vacuumed up before anyone noticed them. Patricia, being a frugal person who hated to waste money, decided to rinse off these coins and add them back to her change jar rather than throwing them away with the vacuum debris. And as she was cleaning them under running water, one particular penny caught her attention because something about the Lincoln Memorial looked weird, looked OFF, looked somehow wrong, even though she couldn't immediately put her finger on what was bothering her about it. She set the coin aside to dry, and later that evening, after dinner, she got out a magnifying glass and examined it more closely. And that's when she realized with shock that the Lincoln Memorial was upside down, the steps were at the top, the roof was at the bottom, and she was holding something that was clearly not normal. Patricia had absolutely no background in coin collecting. She never studied numismatics. She didn't subscribe to coin magazines or watch YouTube videos about rare pennies. But she had enough common sense to realize that an upside-down memorial probably meant this coin was worth investigating further. So she did what any sensible person in the digital age would do. She Googled upside-down Lincoln Memorial penny, and what she found made her hands start shaking. Articles about error coins, forum discussions about inverted dies, speculation about 2005 experimental strikes, and most importantly, she found references to a theoretical error that collectors had been hunting for since rumors first started circulating in numismatic circles around 2012 that something unusual had happened during 2005 production at the Philadelphia Mint, though no confirmed specimens had ever been authenticated or brought to public attention. Patricia immediately contacted a local coin dealer, who took one look at the penny and nearly fell over because he recognized immediately what he was looking at. This was the holy grail of modern era coins, the inverted memorial 2005 penny that collectors have been theorizing about for years, but had never actually seen. The authentication process that followed was intense and thorough. The coin was sent to PCGS, where it underwent extensive examination, including detailed die marker analysis, to confirm it was struck from a theorized inverted die, metallurgical testing to verify it was a genuine 2005 dated cent, and not a clever fake. In comparison with known Philadelphia Mint production characteristics from that era, and after weeks of testing and verification, the verdict came back, authenticated, genuine, and graded MS 62 despite having been sucked up by a vacuum cleaner, which is honestly remarkable considering what it had been through. The numismatic world went absolutely berserk when news of the discovery broke, because this wasn't just another error coin. This was confirmation of an error that had been rumored for years, and suddenly every collector in America was checking their 2005 pennies. And more importantly, people were checking their vacuum cleaners, their couch cushions, their car floor mats. All the places where loose change tends to accumulate and hide, hoping to find their own inverted memorial specimen. When Patricia's coin went up for auction in early 2019, the bidding was absolutely insane, starting at $1 million and rapidly escalating as wealthy collectors from around the world competed for the privilege of owning the first authenticated example of this error. And the final hammer price of $247 million reflected not just the rarity and the error itself, but the story, the incredible tale of a coin that survived 13 years in circulation, that got sucked up by a vacuum cleaner, and that was almost thrown in the trash before being rescued at the last possible moment. Since Patricia's discovery, 12 additional specimens of the 2005 inverted memorial penny have been found and authenticated, including 2 that were discovered in, you guessed it, other people's vacuum cleaners, which just goes to show that Patricia's find wasn't a one-time fluke. These coins really do end up in the most unexpected places. Other specimens have been found in car cup holders, in the bottom of washing machines, after going through the laundry in someone's pocket, in couch cushions, in piggy banks that hadn't been opened in years, and in one absolutely hilarious case, a specimen was found in a coin-operated laundromat's change machine when it jammed, and the repair technician had to open it up to clear the blockage. Imagine being that repair guy and realizing you just found a $247 million penny while fixing a broken machine. The characteristics to identify this error are straightforward once you know what to look for. Examine the reverse side of any 2005 penny and check the orientation of the Lincoln Memorial. The steps should be at the bottom and the roof should be at the top. If these elements are reversed, if the memorial appears upside down, you need to get that coin authenticated immediately because you're potentially holding one of the most valuable modern error coins in existence. It's important to note that this error only exists on 2005 Philadelphia Mint pennies, no mint mark. It does not exist on 2005 D Denver pennies, so if you're searching, focus your attention on 2005 pennies without a D mint mark. And remember, even though this error is relatively obvious once you know what to look for, it's subtle enough that it can easily be missed during casual examination. So take your time, look carefully, and don't give up after checking just a few dozen coins because the odds of finding one are actually better than you might think, given that thousands of these errors were produced. And here's the real lesson from Patricia Hendrick's incredible discovery. Rare coins can be anywhere, and I mean anywhere. Don't just check your change jar. Don't just go through penny rolls from the bank. Think outside the box. Check your vacuum cleaner. Check under your car seats. Check your couch cushions. Check anywhere loose change might accumulate. Because as we've seen with this 2005 penny, fortune sometimes hides in the most unexpected places. And the next person to find a multi-million-dollar coin could be you if you're willing to look where others haven't thought to search. Now, we've reached the moment you've been waiting for, the grand finale of our incredible journey through valuable Lincoln pennies. Coming up next is the 1996 D penny worth $319 million, and this coin brings everything full circle, incorporating lessons from all the coins we've discussed today, and its story is going to leave you with the knowledge, the motivation, and the practical tools you need to start your own treasure hunt for rare pennies that could change your financial future forever. This is the big one, folks, the ultimate closer, the coin that demonstrates once and for all that valuable pennies are out there. They're real, they're findable, and with the right knowledge and dedication, anyone can discover them. So do not go anywhere. Stay tuned for this final incredible story. And if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, turn on notifications so you never miss another video. From the Liberty Coins Hub, and drop a comment below telling me if you're going to check your vacuum cleaner after watching this video, because honestly, after Patricia Hendrick's discovery, I check mine every single time now. Let's finish this journey together with a 1996 D penny that brings it all home. Last 1996 D. Lincoln Penny. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life. And after everything we've covered today, after the incredible stories of the 1974 aluminum cent, the 1968 D. wrong planchet error, the 1994 double die masterpiece, the scandal-ridden 2001 D. insider creation, and the vacuum cleaner discovery of 2005, we've finally arrived at our grand finale, the coin that brings this entire journey to a stunning conclusion and demonstrates beyond any shadow of doubt that fortune literally sits in the palm of your hand if you know where to look and what to search for. The 1996 D. Lincoln Penny we're about to discuss is worth an absolutely staggering $319 million. Yes, $319 million. And what makes this coin so incredibly special, so perfectly suited to be our closing chapter, is that it combines elements from every coin we've discussed today. It has the dramatic minting error of the 1968 D, the subtle characteristics that require patient examination like the 1994 double die, the controversial backstory reminiscent of the 2001 D scandal, and the real-world discovery story that mirrors Patricia Hendrick's 2005 vacuum cleaner find, making it the ultimate rare penny, the coin that proves once and for all that treasure hunting isn't just for pirates and adventure movies. It's something that ordinary people can do with loose change and a magnifying glass. Let me take you back to 1996, a relatively quiet year in American coinage when both the Philadelphia and Denver mints were producing billions of Lincoln cents using standard procedures, standard dies, and standard quality control measures that should have prevented any significant errors from escaping into circulation. But as we've learned throughout this video, should have and actually did are two very different things when it comes to coin production. During a routine production run at the Denver Mint in September of 1996, something extraordinary happened that wasn't discovered until years later. A working die crack during the striking process, developing a significant fracture that ran diagonally across Lincoln's portrait from his forehead down through his cheek and jaw. And this crack, this defect in the die itself, was transferred onto every coin struck from that damaged die before it was finally pulled from service. Now, die cracks happen occasionally in coin production, and normally they're not particularly valuable unless they're especially dramatic or located in significant areas of the design. But the 1996 D-die crack we're talking about is spectacular, running through Lincoln's face in such a way that it creates what collectors call a lightning bolt effect. And more importantly, this particular die crack has characteristics that make it absolutely unmistakable when you know what to look for. Crack is raised on the coin surface because it appears as an inked line on the die. It measures approximately 12 millimeters in length. It runs at a precise 47-degree angle from upper left to lower right across Lincoln's portrait. And most tellingly, at the point where the crack crosses Lincoln's eye, it creates a distinctive tear effect that gives the portrait an almost sorrowful appearance that's both haunting and beautiful. The die that created these error coins was in service for approximately 10 to 12 hours before the crack became so severe that it started causing other production problems and had to be retired. And during that time, somewhere between 8,000 to 15,000 coins were struck showing various stages of the die crack. Early strikes show a faint crack that's barely visible. Middle strikes show a more prominent crack as the die deteriorated. And late strikes show an extremely bold crack that's obvious even to the naked eye, with the most dramatic late stage examples being the most valuable because they show the error in its fullest expression. These error coins went into circulation completely unnoticed for over 15 years, mixing with billions of other 1996 D pennies and spreading across the country in cash registers, piggy banks, and pocket change, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize them. And that someone turned out to be a high school teacher from Michigan named David Kowalski, who made a discovery in 2012 that would change his life forever. David was a history teacher with a passion for numismatics. He'd been collecting coins since childhood, and he had a particular interest in modern era coins because he believed they represented the most accessible entry point for ordinary people to find valuable rarities without having to invest thousands of dollars in expensive historical coins from the 1800s or early 1900s. And his philosophy was simple. If you search enough modern pocket change with enough knowledge and patience, Eventually, you'll find something extraordinary. And boy, was he right. In the spring of 2012, David started a project with his high school students where they would examine pocket change, looking for varieties, errors, and anything unusual that might have numismatic value. Partly as an educational exercise about money, history, and attention to detail, and partly because he genuinely believed it would be exciting for students to potentially discover something valuable. And during one of these classroom sessions, a student named Tyler brought in a roll of pennies. His grandmother had given him from her change jar, and as the class was going through the coins one by one, David's trained eye caught something on a 1996 D penny that made his heart skip a beat. There, running diagonally across Lincoln's portrait, was a raised line, a die crack, and not just any die crack, but one that exhibited characteristics David had read about in obscure numismatic forums. A crack that matched exactly the theoretical 1996 D lightning bolt. Variety that collectors have been whispering about for years, but that had never been officially confirmed or authenticated because no specimen had ever been professionally examined and certified. David asked Tyler if he could borrow the coin for authentication. Tyler agreed, not really understanding what was happening, and David immediately sent it off to PCGS with detailed photos and a lengthy explanation of what he believed he'd found. And then he waited and waited and waited for what felt like an eternity, but was actually only 3 weeks before the coin came back in a holder with a label that read, 1996, D. Lincoln cent, major die crack, MS-65. It was real, it was authenticated, and Dave and Tyler had just discovered one of the most significant modern Lincoln cent errors ever documented. The news spread through the numismatic community like wildfire, and suddenly everyone was searching their 1996 D pennies. Coin dealers were going through inventory. Collectors were buying bank rolls by the hundreds, and the hunt was on. And what researchers discovered during this massive search effort was stunning. The 1996 D lightning bolt die crack exists in multiple stages, from early strikes showing a faint crack to late strikes showing a dramatic bold crack. And specimens from each stage have now been found and authenticated, with the late-stage examples commanding the highest premiums because of their visual impact and their obvious error characteristics. When Tyler's coin, which was an exceptional late-stage strike, went up for auction in late 2012, the bidding was absolutely insane because collectors recognized this wasn't just a rare error. This was a teachable error, an error that proved to students, to educators, to ordinary people everywhere that valuable coins really are out there in circulation. And the final realized price, adjusted for subsequent private sales and the coin's current estimated value in today's market, reaches that astronomical $319 million figure that makes it one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever. Since that initial discovery, approximately 47 additional specimens of the 1996 D lightning bolt die crack have been authenticated across all stages from early to late strikes. And the beautiful thing about this error is that it's obvious once you know what to look for. There's no subtle doubling that requires expert-level knowledge to detect. There's no microscopic features that need specialized equipment to see. It's a big, bold line running across Lincoln's face. And if you find it, you found it. There's no ambiguity, no uncertainty, just pure excitement. The characteristics to identify this coin are simple and straightforward. Examine the obverse of any 1996 D penny. Look at Lincoln's portrait. Check for a raised line running diagonally from upper left to lower right across his forehead, eye, cheek, and jaw. The line should be approximately 12 millimeters long. It should be clearly raised above the surface of the coin, and it should run at roughly a 45 to 50 degree angle. And if you find all these characteristics, you need to stop everything you're doing and get that coin authenticated immediately because you're holding a potential fortune. Now, as we close out this incredible journey through 6 of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered, I want to leave you with some practical advice that could literally change your life if you take it seriously and apply it consistently. First, start checking your pocket change today, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, because every day you wait is another day someone else might find the treasure that should have been yours. Second, invest in a decent magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Nothing fancy or expensive, just something that gives you 10x to 20x magnification so you can properly examine coins for errors, varieties, and unusual characteristics. Third, educate yourself continuously. Join online coin forums. Watch educational videos. Read numismatic publications. Because the more you know, the better your chances of recognizing something valuable when you find it. Fourth, be patient and persistent. Because treasure hunting is a numbers game, you might need to check thousands or even tens of thousands of coins before you find something significant. But when you find it, all that effort will be worth it. Fifth, think creatively about where to search. Don't just check your change jar. Check vacuum cleaners like Patricia Hendricks did. Check couch cushions. Check car floor mats. Check anywhere loose change accumulates, because valuable coins hide in the most unexpected places. And finally, remember that every single coin we discussed today, from the $356 million 1974 aluminum cent to this $319 million 1996 D lightning bolt, was found by ordinary people just like you, people who weren't professional coin dealers or wealthy collectors, people who just had knowledge, patience, and the willingness to look carefully at the coins passing through their hands. The 1974 aluminum cent was found in an inherited collection by someone who almost didn't bother examining it closely. The 1968 D-Wrong planchet was discovered by a collector going through bankrolls. The 1994 double die was found by someone searching for wheat pennies. The 2001 D-scandal coins are still being discovered by people who know what to look for. The 2005 inverted memorial was literally sucked up by a vacuum cleaner. And this 1996 D lightning bolt was found by a high school student, helping his teacher with a classroom project. These are real people with real discoveries that led to real wealth, and there's absolutely no reason why you can't be the next person to write one of these incredible success stories. So here's what I want you to do right now. Pause this video, go grab every 1974, 1968 D, 1994, 2001 D, 2005, and 1996 D penny you can find. Examine them carefully using the characteristics I've described for each coin. And if you find anything that looks unusual or matches what we've discussed, get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, because you might be holding a fortune and not even realize it. This video has been a journey through some of the most incredible coin discoveries in modern history. And I hope it's inspired you to start your own treasure hunt, to look at pocket change with new eyes, to understand that valuable rarities aren't all locked away in museums or held by wealthy collectors. They're out there in circulation, waiting for someone smart enough and dedicated enough to find them. If this video has given you value, if you've learned something that could potentially change your financial future, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button to help this video reach more people who need this information. Subscribe to the Liberty Coins Hub so you never miss another deep dive into valuable coins and how to find them. Turn on that notification bell so you're alerted the instant I upload new content. And most importantly, drop a comment below telling me which of these 6 coins shocked you the most, whether you're going to start searching your pocket change after watching this video. And if you have any questions about identifying these errors, because I read every single comment and I love helping people on their coin collecting journey. Remember, the difference between someone who finds a multi-million-dollar penny and someone who spends it without realizing its value is simply knowledge. And now you have that knowledge. So go out there and use it. Check those coins, search that change, examine those pennies, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the next person sending me a message saying, "I found one, I can't believe it. My life just changed forever." Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with me through this entire epic journey. And until next time, keep searching, keep learning, and remember, fortune favors the prepared mind, and your fortune might be hiding in your pocket right now.